can you walk us through an example? As you said, you have a lot of examples. You managed a lot of conflicts in the workplace. Can you walk us through a conflict that you managed and what strategies, principles you had? What's your secret to remaining calm? Because this is also a very big issue, and how you try to avoid escalation.
Yeah, so then I will have to think a bit back, because in my role now, I actually prepare team leads to go into conflicts, and very rarely I'm in the front line of it. Of course, I can be if I have an issue with a direct report, but that's not the case, and that's probably not the best example here. All this preparation helps me already to also keep emotions somehow under control. The less I am prepared, and the more I expose myself to spontaneous triggers. And one of the tricks there is that I expect to be triggered, that I expect to get angry. And just knowing that beforehand already helps me to see those signs and take a deep breath, and also with a certain maybe self-affirmation, like, oh, not today. Today I'm not going to jump on that train. I'm not going to allow this trigger, which consciously or subconsciously allows the other person to somehow distract me. Somehow somebody is able to put the focus somewhere else. Just imagine an insult, and all of a sudden we speak about this insult. That's usually not the issue. So that it's worth to also understand that this can be an unconscious deflection strategy by somebody, and all this gives me a bit of the tactical approach. So I can handle emotions, my own emotions, in a tactical way. What I cannot do is ignore them. They are there. My heartbeat goes up. My anger comes up, and then I say, "Oh, anger. Interesting. Why is that? What's happening here?" And knowing that's part of the trick there with the preparation, helps me in avoiding that. So what I do is I very rarely, when the conflict is at this stage where we speak about, let's say, heated situation, emotions are up, when things are close to escalating or are even escalated, then I do make it a team sport. One of the principles is I basically then have a protocol. I say I don't do this alone. And even if I have just somebody, a silent witness, listening, taking notes, who has a certain role. If it's now HR, then it's HR. It can be a colleague. It can be somebody else who somehow has an appropriate mandate in this. Not doing this alone makes me behave better. I have another witness.
Peace of mind.
That's good. It gives us the chance to have another witness, not come into the he said, she said situation, which is then maybe in the aftermath, another conflict. This is also something to avoid. And it's also, if the team plays well, and that's ideally the setup, then we can support each other. If one of the others gets a tiny bit with the back to the wall, then somebody else can take over for 2-3 minutes in the conversation, very calmly, very quietly. Maybe a counterintuitive self message that I give myself when I enter such a conversation. I tell myself, I will be the nicest person in the room. Because I used to do this differently. I used to think that assertiveness means to be very loud and very pushy, not very loud, but very much above the usual level, to have a tough tonality or something like that. And I realized over time that the opposite works much more effective. Assertiveness can be quiet. Assertiveness can actually be kind, very respectful. Respect is the easiest concession that I can bring into this conversation. So all of these things are preparation. The rest is also logistics and setup. So do I want this to be seen by everybody, or do I want this conversation to be in a room that not everybody sees? Do I want to have the confrontation, or do I want to collaborate? Collaborate also meaning in the regards of the relationship. Then I may have a different sitting order. So all this in mind, I set this up, and it sounds like it's overthinking and over preparing, but whatever I prepare and do there saves me a lot of time.
Nothing takes you
in the further process. It does save me much more time. It sounds crazy, the preparation thing, but it usually saves time, although it's not so obvious.